Hello tubes of you, and welcome back to another video. As you can probably see where I'm sitting and basically the title and description of the video, I have moved. I always wanted to do a little sewing tour of my sewing room and my workplace, but my previous place was actually really small and I actually just never got around to it. Everything was basically cramped and there was really no room for me. If you basically just walk in, that's it. It's just a sewing area. I probably have only a couple feet of room maybe to move things around. Now that I've moved and I'm in a bigger space now, I always wanted to do a tour video of my workspace and how I basically organize things. I don't know how long I'll be living here with my situation. It's probably gonna be a couple of years depending, but I'm gonna go ahead and take advantage of that while I'm here and basically just work on anything I can, because I don't know if I'll ever have a space like this ever. So yeah, but yeah, now that I'm settled down, everything's unpacked, I'm actually starting to work on projects again because I'm actually pretty behind on my commission log, even though they don't have a deadline, but I really want to hurry up and get to those. Another thing I'm actually really excited about having is this couch actually right here, because previously at my old place I actually don't have any place to sit when you go in my sewing room. It's mostly just my desk and a bunch of shelves and all my sewing supplies. But now that I have this here, I actually can do more vlogs like this and in your face kind of personal video, and so hopefully in the future I actually have more things planned, so look forward to that. With all that, let's start with the sewing tour. Alright, so here's the full view of my sewing room in the area. So everything is in the living room, because over here, up here is the second story up to the bedroom area. So I'm actually going to start around here because this is where everything is. So I'm gonna go ahead and start off with this closet right here. So over here we have my whiteboard, which is what I use to basically write out everything I need to do for the day, or especially listing stuff that I need to do, appointments and whatnot. So important dates basically go on here. So let's open this magnificent wardrobe closet to the other dimension. And in this dimension here, we have exciting patterns and notions and storage of all sorts. So most of these over here, the yellow envelope thing and these two storage right here are all commercial patterns. I've actually hoarded quite a lot over the years, so I probably have over 100 of them. But this is how I store most of them. The smaller ones, usually you know how commercial patterns, when you unravel them from the envelope, they turn into a giant spreadsheet of tablecloths and whatnot, and sometimes folding them back into them can be quite the hassle, especially if they have multiple pieces. So what I do is I keep them in these envelopes. So something like this. You can buy a box of them. I bought mine at Costco years ago and they lasted me for quite a while because there's actually 150 of them in there. So what I do is I basically take apart the envelope of the commercial pattern and I cut out all the important details, and I just tape them on and put all the patterns in here and then put them away so I can pull them out for future reference. And they're all basically organized and categorized by the type of apparel they are. I think these top ones are my historical inspired ones, gowns and dresses, more dresses, basically the first 3 rows mostly dresses, and jackets, pants, and just parts and pieces of a garment piece and whatnot. Same for over here, these are all bins full of commercial patterns that I put file cabinet style, so when I pull them out they're much more easier to find. Some of these bottom ones right here, I have a lot of my cosplay ones that I've made over the years that I also save up if I can pull them out. Yeah, so I save up all my cosplay patterns. Same for commission ones I have. Usually I keep them for a good 5 years, and then I'll go through my patterns and see what I can keep or what I need, and I usually recycle them if I don't need them anymore. And over here I also have more patterns I draped and draft. These are more on the bigger scale that I really don't want to fold and put in envelopes, so I'll put them right here usually, and I hang them on these pattern hooks I have. And I also have them all labeled with these sheets. And then up here we just have my storage bin area where I put different things. In this box is my trim, lace, and embroidery stuff, like basically embroidery fabrics and just laces. And then bias tapes and iron-on stuff, my box of ribbons, and other accessory and notions, so like buckles, bells, googly eyes, little things that sometime I might need to pull out. And that portfolio thing up there is actually more patterns I used to organize, like smaller patterns that I made, like the dress that I've shown before. My pattern of my dress is up there. My favorite, the baton box. I actually spent quite a few hours organizing this after I moved here, because previously my buttons were just everywhere. So it was actually quite soothing to just sit and organize buttons. So I put them all each in individual bags by color, shapes, and more of buttons down here. And the rest here is just my pattern paper stuff, a roll of this that I use to modify my commercial pattern on, or when I drape pattern, and I basically just cut it out on here, and that's what you see hanging over here. Down here is just mostly my interfacing and stabilizer stuff that I just shove in there. So that's it for this magical dimension closet to the other side of stuff. And after that, you just have this mirror here. I thought I really need a mirror down here just to like do fittings and whatnot, so it actually just fits perfectly right here. So I have that anytime I want to call out to the mirror and ask it questions about my life choices. Over here we just have dress forms. I actually have quite a few of them, like probably 6, so the rest just goes upstairs for now, unless I want to like shove them under the table and have like a full-on 6 bodies hanging out in my living room. And yeah, here have my cutting table that I use to work on stuff, cut fabrics and whatnot, work on bigger scale projects. And down here is where I store my projects, mostly just commissions. So I have a few of them that I'm working on right now, just to organize and keep all the materials so I know where to find them and that it belongs to that costume specifically. Next up, we have the real MVP of this room, my Beauty Juki sewing machine. This is an industrial one. It's a lot more different than the home sewing machine that some of you might have, because it's meant for heavy duty, it's faster, and it basically can sew heavy projects. So I use this beast to actually work on 90% of my stuff, and I don't think I've been able to get to where I am without her, so I love you so much. Things I use to organize all my foots for this is this little thingy-mabob cube that I got from Joann's. The only thing is that, you know, they don't snap on and off like a home sewing machine. You really do have to use a little screw for it, but it's no trouble at all. And here I just have a bunch of needles also for sewing machine. Also remember to change your needles often, mostly every project or so, because you do not want to work with a dull needle. Even if they don't break, it does make a difference in the thread, especially on the fabrics that you're sewing on. You don't want any snagging and whatnot. Next up, we have this wonderful cart here. Over here we have all my scissors. I separate them, fabric scissors and my non-fabric scissors. Never touch my fabric scissors for anything else but fabric. I have different scissors for different types of fabric. So one of them is for synthetic only, one of them is for natural, one of them is just for interfacing, and one of them is just, yeah, basically I have different scissors for different fabrics. And same for like my paper ones. I have one for like cardboard, paper, foam, and my favorite one that I recently got is my paper pattern cutting shear. It is beautiful. And then all my little notion thingy-mabobs, needles, rotary blades, and whatnot. My pattern hole puncher, and wonder clips. May I talk to you about the wonders of having wonder clips, because everyone needs these. And some washer stuff that I used as weight for my patterns and cuttings. And then on my second one, we have a bunch of rulers. I also have many different rulers because I use them for different things, patterns, measuring outs, whatnot. My dust, the dust blower that I got, and this is what I use to like basically clean the inside of my machines and overlock, because dust do pile up over time. So another thing, make sure you also clean your machine often. my labels that I use in my garments and costumes, oils and ironing products I use, like finishing starch for my fabrics. And down here is just random stuff that I don't use often, but I still use them when I do. So like my heat press for my Cricut machine, and basically Cricut supplies and stuff, and my iron goes here if I need to store it. Over here I set up a rack to hang my stuff, so mostly alterations or projects I'm working on and commission, so they're mostly all here. And then if I turn over here, I have my lovely ironing board. And here we have my iron here, which is also a steamer. And over here we have another drawer of stuff cart that I put here. This up here we have all my sanitizing stuff that I always need on hand to wipe things out because sterilize and whatnot. So my wipes, hand sanitizer, bottles of just rubbing alcohol spray, and more spray for like my couch and furnitures. Over here I have my sewing box where I put like notions that I need, like my seam ripper, tracing wheel, and small shears and glue tapes and etc. And I actually really love this box a lot. It's given to me by my best friend, and it actually belongs to her mom back when she was in high school, so it actually have quite a history to it. And what I like about it a lot is that if you fold it out completely, it folds into, basically folds out 3 layers of these trays here, and then more space, so it actually fits quite a lot, and I really like it. And then over here for the drawers, it's just basically more stuff that I store, embroidery stuff, all my heat transfer vinyl stuff for my Cricut machine here, my draping stuff, saran wrap for I use when I drape out patterns, tapes, ironing pads and hams, basically for all the heat stuff. And all my spray paint cans and whatnot are down here. Then next up we have these 2 tables right here. So for this table, I basically use it to work on like crafts and whatnot. So anything small, hand sewing, anything that I require like this light for. So I usually work on here. I'm working on some hand embroidery stuff right now, which I haven't done since I moved, so I want to pick up on that again because I do have future projects that requires a lot of hand embroidery, so look forward to that. Then we have my embroidery hoop right here, which is what I use to attach this onto this if I ever want to work on, like, if I don't want to hold on to the hoops. So I just stick it on. And then my $400 brick, my Cricut maker, which I use to cut out intricate details that I use for either satin stitching or if I just want to apply on heat transfer vinyl details. So it always cuts stuff out for me, so I use that. Basket of fabric, mostly scraps or fabrics that are more than half a yard. I use them for pattern drafting and for mock-ups because I try not to waste them as possible. And tools, shelf area, so like my drill, random stuff actually, like remnants of like interfacings and whatnot goes in here, or little pieces and parts like nails and staples. And then the second one is my main important one because that's where all my snaps, pliers, and grommets are. And then the last one is basically just tools, hammer, Dremel, screwdrivers, and you know, all those things that they sent you extra when you buy furnitures because they think that you might need other ones. So I just basically shove them all in here. And here on my wall on the left side we have my Cricut Mat stuff for the Cricut machine that I use to place stuff to have it cut. And over here we have my Sakura/clamp inspiration board, which I paste on every time I want to work on any clamp project. So it's basically a board dedicated just for Sakura. And this is my work table for my other machine. We have my Brother Overlock and my Juki home sewing machine here. This table is mostly just for working with these 2 machineries, or whenever I feel like working on videos or computer stuff, I also sit here. One of the storage space here, all threads, I separate them by color, put them in here. I would have them on like a thread rack, but I feel like it's just more convenient for me to have them in here, and it saves more space because my thread collection also grows a lot and I just don't want to keep getting more thread rack just for threads. And then the dangerous things here are the chemicals and adhesives and glue. And then down here we have my Rit dyes that I use to dye fabrics. And here in the middle of the desk drawer, when I pull it out in the center, is where I store all my machine parts, foot, needles, rulers, pens, just all my stationery stuff. And mostly, yeah, anything that goes on this desk from a machine usually just go in here, so like bobbins and whatnot. And last but not least, on this right side of the desk here is where all my cone threads is stored, so I use these all for my normal sewing machine, my overlocked, and my industrial one. And then we have my favorite area over here is where I store all my fabrics by usually colors and prints. Color coordinate like my blues, my pink and purple, red, orange, yellow, green and brown, weird prints fabric, and my black and white. And I also have a lot more up here, but they don't fit down here, which is why I put them up here. Like, I actually have quite a lot of different prints fabrics, so they go up there. I have swatches out so I know what I have. Down here is drawers of stuff that has everything that I need for crafting and sewing that I store here. Over here you just have like boning stuff and Rigilins and plastics and velcros. And then in here is just basically a box of zippers. So zippers of all sorts, all-purpose zippers, invisible zippers, and separating zippers. So they're all in here. All of these here are my paint stuff, my paintbrushes and fabric paints. This is quite a heavy one because it's actually what I use a lot, is my elastic and horse braids. So it's just a box full of different lengths and sizes of elastics. And horse braids, of course. And then the middle one here is just mostly like belts and yarn stuff. And then over here we have all my heating stuff as well, which is like my hot glue, my baby little iron, super cute, little baby iron for like small intricate details if I want to like iron on stuff for like a heat and bond. And my heat gun as well. Over here we have all my embellishment stuff and for like beadings, jewelries, necklace of all sorts. And then down here is basically all my resin stuff, Mod Podge, molds, dyes for resins and whatnot, so they're all down here. And then the last thing is probably what I touch the least, which is basically just like parts of like machineries that I don't need, so they're extras I throw down here, and bags, and my bias tape maker that I actually don't use as often either. So the things I use really the least goes down there. And over here is just more fabrics on the boats and rolls that I put over here. I usually get these boats from Joann's when they have when after they're done with it, they just put them out to recycle. So I usually ask for a few of them so I can store my fabric, especially like the one that are more than 3 yards. I like to roll them up and have them organized because there's no way they're gonna fit on these shelves. So I use those to organize my fabrics as well. And last but not least is my comfy couch that I have here for me and all my couch buddies. This big boy over here is named Frederick. He sort of have a little tantrum sometimes, so he screams. But do you want to say hi? And that concludes the end of this sewing video tour vlog. Thank you so much for watching, and I do hope you enjoy what you see of what I did today. If you'd like to see more, do please stay, leave a like, subscribe, and I will make more because I do have more in the future that I'm planning out. If you also have any suggestions that you'd like to see, also leave that in the comment because I'm always open up for ideas what I want to do. I want to have a chance to do more videos. I want to do more like dance covers, song covers, and maybe even cosplay PV if I have the time for it, or if I have the ability to put one together, because they do take a lot of planning. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more of my stitch crafting sewing journey and what I'm brewing around here in my cauldron with all my buddies and friends here. But yeah, I will see you all in the next video. Bye!